Welcome back. Today I'm going to teach you how to do unit conversions. Unit conversions are really easy. There's a great way to check your work and make sure that you're getting the right answer. And it's something that'll benefit you in your entire math and science careers. So let's just jump right into it. I'll show you how to do this. Okay, imagine we're converting from, let's say, 4 weeks to days. We wanted to know for every 4 weeks, how many days is that? Well, the way we solve this problem is we always just start by writing down the original value, 4 weeks. The next thing we're going to do is multiply that starting value by just a blank fraction with nothing in it. This is called our conversion factor, and conversion factors are what we use to solve unit conversion problems. But they're really very simple. The way you set them up is you take the value that you're starting from, that you want to get rid of, and you take that unit, just the unit, and you put it on bottom. Then you take the unit that you're trying to get when you solve the problem on top. And in this case, we want to know how many days there are. And then we think about the relationship between these two units. And the relationship between these two units should make sense so that when we write it out as a sentence in English, it makes sense. It's not nonsensical. So for instance, I happen to know that there are 7 days, as I'm sure you do, in every 1 week. And again, this makes sense. There are 7 days to every 1 week. If we flipped it and put the 1 on top and the 7 on bottom, we'd get the wrong answer, but we'd also know it was wrong just by looking at our conversion factor, because we would know there aren't 1 day to every 7 weeks, there's 7 days to every 1 week. So if you think about your conversion factor logically, you can kind of catch yourself making mistakes and make sure you set it up the correct way every time. So the next thing we're going to do is just perform this arithmetic. 4 times 7 is 28, and 28 divided by 1 is still 28. To get our final unit, weeks is divided by weeks, and so it cancels itself out, leaving only days behind. So we're left with the answer 28 days, which is the correct answer. Now this was a pretty easy problem. Let's try using SI units, also known as metric units, and see if we can solve a problem using this exact same method. Okay, let's say I have 1200 milligrams, and I want to know how many grams that would be. We solve this problem exactly the way we did the first one. We start by just writing out our starting value, 1200 milligrams. And then we multiply that starting value by a blank conversion factor. Just as we did with the last problem, we're going to take the units only, no numbers, that we want to get rid of, and we put that on bottom of the conversion factor. We take the unit that we want to get, in this case grams, and we put that on the top of the conversion factor. Again, just the units. Now we think about the relationship between these two things so that it makes sense. You might not know, but I expect all my students to know their kind of basic metric prefixes, milli, kilo, that sort of thing. And so I would expect my students to know that there are 1,000 milligrams in every 1 gram. And again, this should make sense when you say it out loud. For every 1 gram, there are 1,000 milligrams. It makes sense because milligrams are a lot smaller than grams. There's 1,000 of them in every 1 gram. Okay, and now we just perform the math. 1,200 times 1 is 1,200. And 1,200 divided by 1,000, we can just move the decimal place 3 parts to the right, and we end up with 1.2 is our final answer. We cancel milligrams with milligrams because we have milligrams on top and bottom, so they cancel each other out, and we're left with grams is our final answer. 1.2 grams is the same as 1,200 milligrams. So again, when we perform this unit conversion, we just set up our conversion factor, units first, then put in the numbers. It should make sense as you say it as a sentence in English. For every 1 gram, there are 1,000 milligrams. And then we just multiply by that fraction to get our final answer. Let's try one final example that uses more than one conversion factor. Okay, let's say we had 2.5 days, and I wanted to know how many minutes that is. Well, this is a more complicated conversion factor because I actually don't know off the top of my head how many minutes are in a day. So what I'm going to have to do is maybe go from days to hours, and then hours to minutes, because I do actually know those relationships. I know there's 24 hours in a day, and I know there's 60 minutes in an hour. So let's start, as we did with all the previous problems, by writing out our starting value, 2.5, and we're going to include the unit days. Then we're going to multiply that by a blank conversion factor. We're going to put the unit that we want to get rid of on bottom, and we're going to put the unit that we want to go to on top. And again, I don't know the relationship between days and minutes, so I'm going to have to go to hours first. And now this relationship I know that there's 24 hours in every one day. And oops, I think I made a mistake. I can actually tell by looking at my conversion factor that I made a mistake, because there's not 1 hour in 24 days. I know that that's wrong. So let's erase that and think about the relationship between these two things in a way that makes sense. I know there are actually 24 hours in every one day. Again, you should be able to speak it out loud as a sentence in English, and it should make sense. There are 24 hours in one day. There are not 24 days in 1 hour. Okay, then I'm just going to perform the arithmetic. 2 times 24 is 48, and half of 24 is 12, so that's going to give me a total of 60 for my final answer, and then days cancels with days, leaving hours. Okay, but I'm still not done, because now that I know that I have 60 hours, I want to figure out how many minutes that is. So let's go from hours to minutes. We're going to use a second conversion factor in this problem. And there's some problems as you move along in your math and science journey where you might be using, I don't know, 6, 7, 8 conversion factors. In stoichiometry, it's not uncommon to use quite a few. So being able to set up conversion factors is absolutely crucial and instrumental to progressing in your math and science journey. So we're going from hours to minutes using a second conversion factor. We want to get rid of hours. That goes on bottom. We want to go to minutes. That goes on top. Now we think about the relationship between these two things. There are 60 minutes in every 1 hour. So 60 goes on top and 1 goes on bottom. And I should be able to speak it as a sentence. There are 60 minutes in every 1 hour. 1 hour contains 60 minutes. Perfect. Okay, so now we have a simple math problem. 60 times 60 is 3,600. And then hours cancels with hours and leaves us the final value, minutes. And that's my final answer. So setting up these conversion factors, you can see how easy it was. You can see how you can check your work. You can see how it makes logical sense by speaking it aloud as a sentence in English. And you're going to be using this a lot in your math and science classes. So learn it the right way, set it up this way every time, and it's going to be ironclad for getting the right answers on your problems. I wish you luck. Go ahead and get started.